In 1985, following 2 years as runner-up, Prost pushed his McLaren to the front, becoming the first and only French world driving champion. A year later, Prost overcame long odds against the Williams-Honda team of Piquet and Mansell to defend his title, earning him the nickname, the Professor. In 1989, with the championship to be decided between them, Prost and teammate Ayrton Senna collided at Suzuka, Japan. Senna was disqualified, and Prost walked away with his third title. In 1993, the combination of Alain Prost and the incomparable Williams-Renault has produced record-shattering performances. With 11 pole positions and 7 victories in 12 races, Prost is enjoying his greatest season ever, closing in on his 4th title, putting him within reach of the master, Juan Manuel Fangio, whose record of 5 world championships was once considered untouchable. With 4 races remaining, only 3 men stand between Prost and his goal. Young Lions Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher, who swept the top 2 positions 2 weeks ago at the Grand Prix of Belgium. And, as always, there is Prost's arch-rival and fellow triple world champion driver, Senna. Will one of these 3 take center stage, or will Alain Prost grasp his 4th title? We'll find out at the Grand Prix of Italy. ESPN, the world leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. In a former royal park just north of the city of Milan lies one of the world's legendary racetracks, the Autodromo di Monza, home for more than 60 years to the granddaddy of all Grand Prix races, the Grand Prix of Italy. There are 12 races down and 4 remaining in the 1993 World Driving Championship, and what could be better than to crown the world champion on the stage that is above all others, the Autodromo di Monza. The park belongs to the city, but the racetrack belongs to the world. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bob Varsha. Welcome to a very special Sunday here on ESPN. If Monza is truly a cathedral of speed, then we are in its sanctuary, the garages of the Ferrari team as they make final preparations for the biggest weekend of the year. Frenchman Alain Prost comes into this weekend with a 28-point lead over his arch-rival, Brazilian Ayrton Senna, for the World Championship. Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher are also in the hunt. But if Prost comes away from today with a 30-point lead over the rest, then he will be world champion, and all eyes will be on him today, as well as on the Ferrari team. Now, with me to call this very special race, a man who knows what it's like to drive for Ferrari on Grand Prix Sunday, former 2-time world sports car champion, Derek Bell. Derek, welcome to ESPN. What's it like to walk this paddock as a Ferrari driver?
Well, it's wonderful. I'd forgotten what it was like, and I think you're never aware of just what it's like to be a Ferrari driver when you're driving for them. When you've left it, as I did several years ago, you suddenly realize how special it is to be part of that legend, to drive for a man who really is Mr. Motor Racing, has made it. Ferrari have been in Grand Prix racing since 1948. That's a very, very long time. And I was very privileged to be part of the Ferrari team, not only just a driver at Ferrari, but to actually have my first Grand Prix at the Italian Grand Prix at Monza in 1968. And I'm continually reminded of it as I walk around the paddock and walk through the shops and concessions out the back. When people come up to me and they say, "Hey, Bell, 68, hey, Bell, Ferrari," you suddenly realize that they remember you from 1968 as a Ferrari driver. It's incredible. There's nowhere in the world that you would go and find this devotion to motor racing. You'd never find these sort of old-timers that still follow motor racing. In Italy, Ferrari is it. Ferrari is very, very important. And to have driven for them, I'm very, very fortunate. This whole weekend has been about not whether Prost would be on pole, not whether Senna would be second quickest, but how would the Ferraris do? And all through qualifying, we've been spellbound watching the antics of the 2 Ferrari drivers trying to get up there and beat the Williams. And right up to the very last lap, we saw Alesi doing 3 brilliant laps, as brilliant as I've ever seen, trying to get up on that pole position, and he failed only by a few hundredths of a second. It was wonderful to watch. And then, of course, on the slowing down lap, we saw this very unfortunate incident with Gerhard Berger.
It could only happen at Ferrari. Moments after the checkered flag at final qualifying, Alesi slowed to acknowledge the cheers of the Tifosi, the Ferrari fans. But for some reason, Gerhard Berger did not.
I won't pass Sean on the left side. He saw in the last moment, and he won't make me free the idle line, but I was already going left, and he passed over to the left side, and there was no way anymore to avoid a crash.
Amazingly enough, Gerhard Berger, though he was lifted from the car and taken to the hospital, is all right and will race again today. Now, it's also been a spectacular weekend for American Michael Andretti, making his Italian Grand Prix debut. He went from 12th to 9th on the grid in those closing laps of qualifying, and he's standing by now with our pit reporter, James Allen.
Well, that's right, Bob. Michael Andretti's certainly been on it all weekend, very strong in qualifying, and in the Sunday morning warm-up, he was only 0.2 of a second away from Ayrton Senna using a Series 7 engine. He'll be using Series 8 in the race. Michael, you've really been on it all weekend, haven't you?
Well, it's coming around. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of time in practice because of the rain, and I think that hurt me a little bit, so I'm still learning and feeling my way around, but each lap it's getting better and better.
Is the improvement in the car, or is it in you?
Well, I think in both. You know, every race I feel a little more confident, and you know, the car, I think they made a little bit of headway in the last test, so you know, it's a little of both.
Thanks very much, Michael. Looking forward to a good result today. Thank you.
All right, thank you, James. Michael Andretti may well have an extra incentive to do well here at Monza. Stand by for more as we get set for the Grand Prix of Italy. This ESPN Speed World presentation is brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Watching live the winner's podium at the Autodromo di Monza, where every man in this field of 26 would like to be. Let's take a look at the way they'll line up now with the help of our Yamaha starting grid. On the pole for the 12th time in 13 races this year, Alain Prost of France with the title on the line. His lap at 159.822 miles an hour makes this the fastest circuit in Formula One. Prost also quickest in the morning warm-up. Next to him for the 11th time in 12 races, Damon Hill in the second Williams Renault, but Hill only 4th quickest this morning on full tanks. On row 2, the crowd darling Jean Alesi of France in the Ferrari, second quickest to Prost in the warm-up. And next to Alesi, Ayrton Senna in the McLaren Ford, 5th in the warm-up. He simply must finish ahead of Prost in this race. On row 3 will be Michael Schumacher in the Benetton Ford, and next to him will be Gerhard Berger in the Ferrari, 3rd and 6th quickest respectively in the warm-up. On row 4, Johnny Herbert with a terrific performance in qualifying in the Lotus Ford. Next to him will be Aguri Suzuki of Japan, also still qualifying very well for the footwork team. On row 5, Michael Andretti will be on the inside in the McLaren Ford. He was 8th quickest in the warm-up. And next to him will be Riccardo Patrese, racing in front of his home fans in the Benetton Ford. On row 6 will be Derek Warwick of Great Britain in the second footwork. And at his elbow will be countryman Martin Brundle in the Ligier Renault. Row 7 will be J.J. Lato of Finland in the Sauber, next to the Ligier of Mark Blundell. Row 8, Carl Wendlinger in the Sauber, next to the LaRousse of Philippe Ayot. Row 9, Ukio Katayama of Japan, and next to him, his Tyrrell teammate, Andrea De Cesaris of Italy. Row 10 will be Rubens Barrichello in the Jordan Hart, with Eric Comas in the LaRousse alongside. Row 11, Michele Alboreto, one of his best qualifying performances of the year in the Lola Ferrari. He'll be next to Pierluigi Martini of Italy in the second Minardi. On row 12, a new face, Formula 3000 standout Marco Apicella, standing in with the Jordan team for Terry Boutsen, who retired from Formula One last week. Next to him will be Christian Fittipaldi of Brazil in the second Minardi. On row 13, Luca Badoer in the second Lola Ferrari, and next to him, another new face, Pedro Lamy, just 21 years of age from Portugal, standing in with Lotus for Alessandro Zanardi, whose injuries following his big crash at Spa in Belgium were much worse than expected. We may not see Zanardi back in a Formula One car ever. Here's a look at our race conditions. It's a very warm day, 82 degrees. We've had lots of rain, so the grass on either shoulder of the racetrack is very wet and bog-like. 51% humidity. These drivers are really going to earn their money today. A look at the world champions who have clinched here at wonderful Monza. Look at the list. Nino Farina, Juan Fangio, Sir Jack Brabham, who did it twice, as did Jackie Stewart, Phil Hill, and Mario Andretti of the United States. Emerson Fittipaldi, Niki Lauda, Jody Scheckter, the late Jim Clark. The list goes on and on. This place is absolute magic. As the cars warm up, Jean Alesi dove right in front of the second-place car and now drops back behind Damon Hill. Derek, it's been a long time since you raced in anger here at Monza. How's it look today?
It's quite a different circuit. This part we're on right now is the same, the Curva Grande. But in fact, they now have a new chicane just before the Curva Grande, which you go through in second up into third gear, and then lead your way through the Curva Grande, reaching up to 140, 150 miles an hour, and up to nearly 200 before you get to the second chicane. Flick through that in second, up to third, through the first Lesmo, through the second Lesmo in fourth, up to fifth as you exit sixth gear, going up under the bridge and up into the Scari curves, which are now a chicane, through the chicane, out of the chicane in third, fourth gear, fifth gear on the exit, streaming up to 203 or 204 miles an hour on the way down to the Parabolica, where we go through in second, third gear and stream up past the pits.
This is one of the most interesting parts of the track, dipping down under the banking that was once a part of an enormous oval here at Monza, once driven, in fact 2 years driven in 57 and 58 by USAC Indy cars. Now let's get a quick last-minute update on tires from the pit lane with James Allen.
That's right, Bob. Tyres certainly going to play a major factor in today's race. Everybody is running on AA tyres, but everybody's running on AA tyres. We just saw JJ Leto, in fact. He stalled on the grid. He's going to be starting from the back of the grid. But watch out for the Ferraris. They've done a lot of testing here, and watch out for them because your tyre stops may well be dictated by what they do. Ayrton Senna, we think he might go through without stopping. The Williams is they might just take one security stop.
All right, thanks very much, James. We'll keep working on your microphone. That AA compound was put together by the Goodyear engineers specifically for this race. They needed an extra hard compound because these new narrower Formula One tires work so hard here. Riding on board right now with Riccardo Patrese as the cars begin to pull into position. Derek, what is this like in front of these fans?
Well, this is the moment they've all been working up for the last 3 days. But of course, here we are on the grid, and it doesn't really matter now. This is just another Grand Prix. This is another Grand Prix. Here comes Alesi. This is the biggest moment for him. It's the quickest he's been all year. He's front of the home crowd. He's driving for Ferrari, and it all matters now. The biggest worry for him is when his foot's going to slip off that clutch, beat the gas pedal, and away to get a great start.
On the right is Alain Prost. On the left is Damon Hill. Prost has not started well this year in the Williams car. Jean Alesi has to think about that. Ayrton Senna will start behind Damon Hill, who is a demon starter in the Williams. When the field comes to a stop, we'll get the green flag, putting a field of 26 under starters' orders. And then we will have the red and then the green. Perhaps the most dramatic, if not the most important, green light of the 1993 World Championship. Turn up the volume and enjoy. Drifts to the center of the track with Alesi just behind him and Senna behind the Ferrari. They are 4 wide, heading for the first chicane. A very tight left-hander.
Senna's going by Hill as well, by the look of it. No, he's bumped. Senna's out.
Senna made contact, and at the back of the pack, it looks like
they're all back before the chicane. They saw the instant. They're backing out of it.
One of the Jordans contact with one of the looked like one of the Saubers.
I did say this race is not won at the first corner because this circuit has got lots of straights. There's plenty of opportunity to overtake, and it's very, very silly at this stage to make mistakes. And the big professionals made them there.
Oh, and there's actions. One of the Lotuses tries to overtake. Alain Prost is away. There goes one of the Benettons. And here comes the rest of the field. No sign of a red flag as yet.
Michael. Yeah, Andretti's well in there. That was one of his most lucky opportunities for him there. He wasn't involved in it. There was cars everywhere.
Prost, Alesi, Schumacher, Gerhard Berger, it looks like. Behind him, we have Johnny Herbert in the Lotus. Michael Andretti comes down the inside to the right. He's going to go by Carl Bedlinger.
But we don't know what happened because we didn't see the exit of that first part of the chicane.
Our host broadcasters, the RTI network here in Italy.
Oh, boy.
Now, there are the cars as one of the footworks. Both footworks are out of the race.
Oh, boy.
Derek Warwick and Aguri Suzuki. What a horrible break for Jackie Oliver's footwork team. There goes Alain Prost, who will lead the first of 53 laps.
And working up into a yellow for the first chicane. The chicane here, in fact, is a double corner. A double corner. It's like 4 left, right, left, right. Very difficult corner, but very important to get out of it fast because it leads all the way up through to the second chicanes.
Boy, if I were that corner worker, I'd get away from that car with the cars coming at us. Let's get down to the pit lane and see what we can learn from James Allen.
Bob, total chaos down here. A lot of cars coming in. I've got Philippe Alliot in front of me. He's having a new nose put on. Looks like he's lost a few wing end plates. Behind him is Christian Fittipaldi. He had been hoping to get through without stopping at all today. He's had to come in for some fresh tyres. A lot of cars affected in that incident. Total chaos in the pit lane, as you can see.
You notice how Alesi is living with Prost at this stage, which is very good to see. I think we're going to see the Ferrari right on the heels, right working with those two Williams the whole way through this race.
Jean Alesi has been talking to the Italian journalists for weeks. He said, we will take the pole, we will win the race. And he said as early as this morning, he still expects to. Now this is a replay. That's Ayrton Senna going over Damon Hill's left rear wheel. You see the field beginning to scatter around him. The two footworks go off at the back of the pack. What a start. Now here's another look from the helicopter camera.
See, there was a moment, a long way before, further back down the field, two major other incidents.
There's Senna. Damon Hill goes off the racetrack. Senna goes way wide. Schumacher comes underneath. Then Gerhard Berger. Michael Andretti. Oh, you see the two footworks making contact with Andretti just behind them.
That's right. And that's Senna coming back on there.
And Damon Hill went off a second time at the next chicane as Gerhard Berger tried to dive inside. One more time now.
It was a very silly move by Senna. I mean, two people to go by Hill on the entrance to the first corner is a very unprofessional move. Yeah, look at that.
First incident at the back. There's Senna at the left going over Hill.
He was lucky to get away with that the way he did.
Oh, absolutely.
But Hill knew nothing about it, and Senna knew everything about it.
Now from Damon Hill's in-car.
Yeah, that's Alesi going by. And then, of course, Senna is coming down as well, but Hill doesn't know this. And then, wow, he hit him, pushed him out.
Looked like maybe at the last moment Damon tried to give him a little bit of room. Now, if we stay with this, there goes Schumacher by into third place. Now, Hill went off again at that next chicane as well. It's a double left and right. Now back to live action. Alain Prost. At stake here. Now Michael Andretti has also made a pit stop. There is Mike heading back onto the racetrack.
Yes, he's lost it.
Let's learn from James Allen what happened during Michael's stop. James?
Michael Andretti came in to change his tyres, in fact. It was quite a long stop. A lot of concern on the McLaren wall. In fact, Ron Dennis came down to have a look, but he's back out in the race, as you saw, having smoked him. What a chaotic first couple of laps.
All right, thank you, James. Another replay from our host at RTI. You saw the yellow flags waving immediately. Corner workers spotting the action right away.
I would say the reason that Michael came in was that he actually locked up his tyres in that melee coming up to the first corner, and he went in to change tyres because he had a serious vibration. Very wise move, the only thing he could do.
The running order after 2 laps of this 3.6-mile circuit. There you see Prost, Alesi, Schumacher, Berger, Herbert, and Brundle, the top 5-6 at this point. Behind them, Riccardo Patrese, Damon Hill, Ayrton Senna, Carl Wendlinger is 10th. Then Blundell, Katayama, De Cesaris, Alvaretto, Martini, Badouar, Comas, Lamy, Fittipaldi, and Ayo. Michael Andretti does not appear in the top 20 as a result of his pit stop. A huge crowd on hand today. There's a look at the absolutely jam-packed hospitality area above the pit lane. A dramatic start to this race, and there's more to come. We are back live on board with Michael Schumacher, 4th in the World Driving Championship and looking to move up. He is now in 2nd place in this race, and here's how it happened. Just moments ago, Schumacher on the left, Jean Alesi on the right in the red Ferrari as they come underneath the banking.
Not an easy thing. What he's done is he's pushed poor old Alesi right onto the wrong line, and the guy had to back right out of it. He's lost so much time coming to the chicane, it's astonishing. I've never seen anything quite like it. He must have made a very bold move coming under the bridge. We didn't quite see him actually jinx and pull out on him. That's what he obviously did, and out-fumbled Alesi.
And we have passing on the front straightaway after the field was gnarled up with that contretemps at the first chicane at the very first corner of this lap. Now there's Michael Schumacher, who is well behind leader Alain Prost at this point, 3.2 seconds, and the Williams is drawing away steadily as Prost tries to nail down his 4th World Championship here today. Keep in mind, Alain Prost is an ex-Ferrari driver himself. In fact, he is the most successful Ferrari driver of recent years. He scored the team's last victory in Spain way back in 1990.
There we see Hill right on the tail of Berger, followed very closely by Johnny Herbert. This is very exciting for Lotus. They deserve this break. Johnny's gone very well all weekend, and there he is right there, really strongly in contention. They so badly need a good result.
Alain Prost, the time elapsed in the race, 7:25 thus far, and the gap back to the other runners. Now it looks as though, according to that statistic, that second place is beginning to pull in again.
Hills.
Jean Alesi, Damon Hill closing in.
And of course now we're coming to the area where all through qualifying and practice we've seen the Williams be a very strong contender. It's very fast down this straight. They're pulling over 203, 204 miles an hour in the Ford. Look, here we go. You see the jinxing around, trying to out-fumble him. Damon goes through on the inside. Beautiful move. And now he leaves Berger in his wake, and he's streaking up the Parabolica and up the main straightaway, up to about 215 miles an hour.
Cranking in the power as quickly as he dares. It's an opening turn. The Parabolica starts very tightly and then opens wide. The top cars, the top 8, all over 200 miles an hour on the straightaway leading up to that corner. Now into the chicane once again.
Got to be so neat with the chicanes. You really don't want to bump off those curbs. They really upset the car. And you'll notice the Williams, and I've noticed the Benettons during practice and qualifying have been very neat. The Ferraris were all over the road. Wonderful to watch, but it makes you wonder whether really is the quickest way.
Damon Hill looking for his 3rd straight Formula One victory, and he is not a happy player this weekend, Derek.
No, he's not at all. He's had a really tough time. Yeah, I must just go interrupt there. I noticed how well Brundle is followed closely by Senna, and they're really closing up on Johnny Herbert. So it's turning into a really good battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th place. One heck of a good race at this moment.
There they are. Michael Andretti is in 20th place after that early pit stop to check his tires after locking them up at the chicane in that first corner Chamazel. Damon Hill has not been told yet, and probably will not be told until mid-October, we understand, whether or not he will be driving with the Williams team next year. There is Damon in the number 0 car. Damon is not happy about that, but this is the battle on the racetrack right now. As you look down from high overhead, Alain Prost flashing across the start-finish line to complete lap number 7.
It's just a beautiful feeling to be out there in front and know that everybody behind you is dicing for one another. Absolutely beautiful. That's the way you want it. And when you're such a dominant driver as Prost is, that is the way he loves it. He pulled away from them, and that's where he intends to stay.
Here's a good dice. This is Martin Brundle and Ayrton Senna. They battled for years together in Formula 3 in Great Britain, and now they are battling in Formula 1. That was for 7th place.
Yeah, Martin will tell you on various occasions how he beat Ayrton Senna in those early days. And he envies Ayrton very much his success ever since. But there we see this young Englishman doing a wonderful job. He's very, very much in demand for next year, Brundle. It'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Those two guys once ended an F3 race at mid-race with their cars perched on top of one another. It's one of the most famous racing pictures in all of England. Now they are together in Formula 1. They had a great dice last year at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone here on ESPN.
They're just coming out of the second Lesmo, pouring down this, actually not a straight at all, but we call it a straight, and under the bridge, of course, where Berger had his incident yesterday, up into the Ascari chicane. He's catching well up there on Brundle, but Brundle seems to have a little bit more grunt when he pulls out of the corner in 4th gear, and he'll be getting 5th now, and 6th pretty shortly afterwards.
This is the fastest part of the racetrack, upwards of 200 miles an hour for these cars before hard on the brakes to make the sharp right-hander into the Parabolica. This is the part of the track where the great Jochen Rindt was killed back in the 70s, later becoming the first posthumously crowned world champion. His lead was so great he could not be caught at the time of his death. There's Michael Andretti at last word in 20th place, now up to 19th. He got around Philippe Ayot in the Larousse, and he is all alone on the racetrack, perhaps just what Michael needs right now.
Well, I don't know. I think Michael was ready to mix it today. I talked to him just earlier, and he really wanted to go for it. He looked happy. I actually smiled when we talked, and he looked the most relaxed I've seen him. He was really going to go for it. I mean, let's face it, he was only 1.2 seconds slower in qualifying than the greatest driver in the world of the last decade. I reckon that's remarkable. He got very limited practice, very limited qualifying.
Senna and Brundle have collided. Senna was approaching from behind.
Oh, he's getting out too. He's...
Second major incident of the day for Ayrton Senna, the 3-time world champion. Oh, boy. Now here's another look. He's closing in on the Ligier of Martin Brundle just ahead.
Into the second chicane. As they come into the second chicane. That's exactly where it's happening. Locks up. Well, he doesn't lock up. He did. Oh, Brundle stopped so violently. absolutely violently, and Senna went smack in the back of him.
Damon Hill now creeps up on Jean Alesi. What an astonishing incident between Brundle and Senna.
It looked like Brundle had completely stopped. He couldn't have done, because nothing seemed to happen in front of him. I saw the other car in front, but it didn't seem to be anything happening there. Martin just braked so severely.
So that took Brundle and Senna out of 7th and 8th place. Now Alesi doing everything he can to try to hold off Damon Hill into the...
Very good move. I think poor old Berger's had enough this weekend. Anyway, and here we go. I do beg your pardon, it was Alesi.
Happens all the time, Derek, don't worry. Now this is another look at Martin Brundle coming up behind Johnny Herbert.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. You said they landed on top of each other in Formula 3. They nearly did it again in Grand Prix, at the Italian Grand Prix. That's a pity, because there was a really good race going on there.
Now this is a look from Jean Alesi at Damon Hill coming by to move into 3rd place.
That was a very nice move and a very generous one on behalf of Alesi.
Now here's the incident again. Martin Brundle just ahead. Slow, slow, slow. Senna just can't close.
What you can't see in that picture is that Senna's rear wheels were fully locked up as he came into the corner. His brake bias was wrong. I'm surprised the rear's locked. Used to have the fronts locking up.
Amazing. Alain Prost, 13 minutes and 10 seconds into the race, has a 3.8-second lead on Michael Schumacher. Then that man, Damon Hill, followed by that man, Jean Alesi. We'll be back in a moment.
Due to circumstances beyond my control, I have decided to retire from Formula One at the end of this season. For those who know me well, understand the importance of the human side and the mutual trust and goodwill and integrity and fair play that are the basis of all human relationships. All these issues, unfortunately, have suffered in recent weeks. As for myself, I know that I'm not yet ready to retire, perhaps completely. I still love my motor racing. I still want to win. So I may look at the IndyCar World Series and see what opportunities are available, if any.
That was the scene 1 year ago here at Monza, and an absolutely jam-packed press room as Nigel Mansell, the 1992 world champion, retired here at Monza. Just one of a long list of great moments, important moments, and tragic moments here at Monza. On board with Mark Blundell in the Ligier. Meanwhile, James Allen is caught up with Derek Warwick.
Yeah, very unhappy man down in the pit lane. Derek, what happened at the start?
Well, you know, I made a good start and I took Andretti in that going into the first corner. And then everybody knows it gets very slippery into the first corner, so you all brake a bit early, and they come by me at 100 miles an hour. You know, there was no way they were all going to stop, and sure enough, there's about 8 cars all went off. I went round the outside of it, and Aguri come out of the pack and just took me straight out.
Dangerous place to try and pass there, huh?
I'm sorry?
Dangerous place to try and pass there, huh?
Well, you know, everybody knows that on the first lap, you take it easy into the first corner. It's a long race here, and you've ended up with 6 cars parked down there, not even doing a lap.
Derek, thanks very much for talking to us.
Now there's Michael Andretti to the right of the screen in the red and white McLaren, and the race leader, Alain Prost, just behind him. I said a few minutes ago, but this may be just what Michael needs. Certainly, he does not need the aggravation of an early pit stop and a position back in 17th place in his first Italian Grand Prix. You now ride along with Michael Andretti.
Yes, I know he's not going to want to have Prost go by. He's going to have to, because Prost has been quicker the whole weekend, as he always is. But I think if he did let him by, which he will ultimately, he can then maybe learn something from driving with a master just in front of him. And on this circuit, it's invaluable. He's still learning. He's got so much to learn. It's his first year. Every race he's been to, he's had to learn a circuit. And it's been terribly tough on him.
And it may be getting tougher. There is a rumor sweeping the pit lane this weekend that this will be Michael Andretti's last race with the McLaren team. We've been working hard to run it down. The principals to Team McLaren, Michael himself, and parties back in America will not comment on the situation, but what we are hearing, and you may soon see reported, is that Michael's career with McLaren may be over. It's just a rumor at this point. Also hearing that they will proceed as planned, but no one will elaborate on exactly what that is. And certainly if this is Michael Andretti's last race, that would be a shame.
I think it's very unfair. There's been a lot of criticism leveled at him, but within the actual racing fraternity, the teams themselves, they feel he's had a pretty rough deal. You know, let's face it, after all, he's young, it's his first season. I mean, every week in every race he goes to, he's going to be one session of practice behind everybody else because he's never been there before. And everybody's judging him immediately on the times, comparing with Senna. Senna's the greatest driver in the world, and you have to contend with that. The guy's learning, he's closer to Senna than he's ever been all year. I think probably the only thing I could criticize him for is that I believe he should have lived in the United Kingdom, and he should have been in the workshops at Woking at McLaren every damn day and not missed out on any of the practice sessions, any of the testing that they've done. They're forever testing, and he misses out on that. If you miss out on testing, you're missing out on experience.
Let's get a further comment from James Allen in the pit lane.
Yeah, Bob, it's interesting that rumour flying around, but actually I just spoke to an English journalist who said he spoke to Ron Dennis this morning and got an on-the-record confirmation that McLaren would field 3 cars in the Japanese and Australian Grand Prix. So if that is the case, obviously Michael's bound to be in one of them.
All right, thank you, James. The reason for those 3 cars, the Scuderia Italia has announced, or at least made official to those in the know, that they will merge with the Minardi team next year and will not go to either Japan or Australia this year as a result. The field will be under 26 and under Grand Prix rules. That means that other teams can apply. They can't do it automatically, but they can apply to enter 3 cars. 4 teams, to the best of our knowledge at this point, have done that. They are McLaren, Benetton, Tyrrell, and Ligier, and it remains to be seen how many will actually be out there when we go to Suzuka, Japan about a month from now. There is Michael Schumacher through the Lesmos, a tight first one, and then a longer, quicker second one. Amazing driver's corners.
I might be proven wrong, but I did say a little earlier, but Schumacher is driving very, very smoothly this weekend, which apparently is not normal for him, but he's been immaculate in his driving. Right on the line, you can see him, he's not really using any curbs, absolutely immaculate. I'm very, very impressed. I think he's a beautifully controlled driver at the moment, really come on this season.
Right now, he is coming up on Michael Andretti. Meanwhile, Marco Apicella has dropped out of the race, so his first Grand Prix start has been a short one. Here's our first look at our Ford Electronics telemetry. Michael Schumacher, the RPM on the top line, throttle position on the basis of percentage on the bottom, the gear he is in the green circle, and the speed up over 194 miles an hour. So we're having a few problems getting the signal smoothed out, but we'll keep trying, and we hope to have that for you.
Yes, he held it in 4th gear a long time there, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Oh, he's just nudging some curves there. He does actually on the first chicane, but after that, he really is very, very smooth.
Michael Schumacher came into this race with 42 points in the championship. Damon Hill with 48. Ayrton Senna with 53 is out. So the battle for second place in the Drivers' Championship is going to heat up here today, no matter what happens to Alain Prost. We'll be back with more live from Italy in just a moment. We are back in Italy. Moments ago, this was Johnny Herbert climbing out of the remains of his Lotus. He was running in 6th place in the Grand Prix of Italy when he went off in the diabolical Parabolica corner and destroyed his Lotus. There is Jean Alesi running along in 4th place. Johnny Herbert dropping out of 6th moves Carl Wendlinger in the Sauber up into that 6th and final points-paying position. So the order right now is Prost, Schumacher, Hill, Alesi, Patrese, Wendlinger, and then Mark Blundell in 7th, Gerhard Berger in 8th, Ukio Katayama in 9th place. A good run for him. Now here is Gerhard Berger pitting very early. We'll put a clock on it. Remember, he's driving with that very sore left arm. This is his 2nd stop of the day, in fact. He still has surgery to come on the left arm that became infected. Now, it looks like maybe they're going to pull him back into the garage. It looks like Gerhard Berger's Italian Grand Prix is run. He was a winner of this race back in 1988 in perhaps the most dramatic and emotional Italian Grand Prix of all time. Just weeks after the Commendatore, Enzo Ferrari died. His team came down here. Ayrton Senna was leading the race by a ton, spun off the racetrack, and Ferraris finished 1st and 2nd, Berger and Alboreto. What a day.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed for Ferrari there. I really felt they were going to have a good run. They've been very good all through practice, been very strong, and Berger was so committed to doing a great job in front of their crowd. And we don't know what the problem is, but there was certainly no doubt about it. They pushed it away without even bothering to lift it up. So they knew darn well what it was. Must be telemetry these days is wonderful for being able to diagnose exactly what the problems are. Going back to Herbert's incident a minute, obviously obviously, I would imagine that he lost it as he turned into the corner, although he ended up a long way away. They're doing 130-odd miles an hour turning into Parabolica. And judging from people that have been out there, experts, they say that most of the cars are actually braking right into the apex of the Parabolica. The Parabolica is a double corner with an early apex, and then it opens out wide where you saw Johnny's car actually off the road. And I would imagine that as he got in on the apex, a wheel locked up, and of course then he flew off the road. A great pity, because he's again been right up there this weekend. I would say probably their best showing of this year.
Let's go back and take another look at what happened to Johnny Herbert. Our folks from RTI got into it very late. There you see Herbert has already made contact with the tire wall, and a big hit it was. Boy, what a couple of weeks for the Lotus team after that huge shunt at Spa in Belgium, climbing the hill from Eau Rouge. Johnny Herbert now destroys the car. Boy. Alain Prost at the tail of those 4 cars in traffic now. This is Carl Wendlinger in the Sauber, then Ukio Katayama, then Pierluigi Martini, and then Alain Prost.
He has to be very cautious now. I mean, he has a reasonable lead, but he's got a lot of young stars in front of him, all trying to prove themselves, and they possibly don't even know he's there. I mean, they're nose to tail. Oh, look, you see, they don't really know he's there. They just do not know he's there.
They are battling for position. Martini trying to take 8th from Katayama.
I don't think they do now. I mean, they pulled right across in front of him. They should know exactly that Prost is there. Prost will get by them now. He'll get right by them now. There we go. Because he's got superior power down the straight. He'll whistle past them at this point.
He gets around Martini. Now Katayama makes the entry to the corner. Martini took a look to the inside. And now they will come on to the front straightaway through the Parabolica. Prost will take him to the inside.
Just an example there. You see, Prost came right round the inside of the exit of the Parabolica, just to show you that you can, in fact, keep a very tight line if you have to. Obviously, you lose a bit of speed coming out, but it does mean you can get by somebody. It's the entry, the first part of a corner, that is so critical, and that, I would imagine, is wherefore Johnny lost his Lotus very early on in the corner.
Alain Prost working lap number 19. A beautiful day here in Italy. And everyone it'll tell you, because the late commendatore Enzo Ferrari is on high calling the shots. He wants a sunny day for the Italian Grand Prix, and he will get it.
He wouldn't have chosen Berger to go out yet, then, I'm sure.
I didn't say he was calling all the shots. Through the Lesmo corners. Alain Prost had one of the biggest wrecks of his career in testing for Ferrari in this second Lesmo corner.
The Lesmo corner, actually, as you look at it, doesn't look at all foreboding, but I can assure you, when you're in the car coming out of the Curva Grande chicane up to the first Lesmo and into the second you take just flat out.
Martini going down the inside of Katayama. He will go for 8th place, and it looks like he'll take it. The Ascari chicane, named for the late Alberto Ascari, who died in a testing crash here at Monza back in 1955.
There you can see Schumacher's working his way. Schumacher's really working his way through the field. As you imagine, Prost was held up somewhat by that pair, the pair in front of him, and here he is. Schumacher's had a clear run, and he's got by them both without, I would say, losing any time whatsoever. So I imagine he's pulled up quite a bit of time on Prost in that section.
Schumacher with the very latest Ford V8 power. Martini using a Ford several generations down. Benetton is the factory team after all. Bounding across the curbs goes Mr. Schumacher. He is in 2nd place, and we'll be back for more live coverage from Italy. Stay right there. This is the central square of Milan, Italy, fashion capital of the world, featuring some of the most beautiful architecture anywhere, including that Gothic cathedral. This, believe it or not, is not a cathedral. This is a shopping center. They do everything with a great deal of class. Now there is Michael Schumacher's car as we return to live coverage of the Grand Prix of Italy. Schumacher is out of it, and what a development. Schumacher was in 2nd place in the race. Here's what happened. He's following the black Sauber of Carl Wendlinger.
Ooh, the engine went. Justin, good night.
Now, he is not the only man out of this field. Just moments ago, as you see him dripping oil onto the racetrack.
He's having a job to control it, in fact, in the first part there.
Mark Blundell is also out of the race after losing his left rear tire coming off the Parabolica corner. There is Jean Alesi. He will move up into 3rd spot. If the race were to end right now, Alain Prost is the world champion. But Damon Hill is in 2nd place. Jean Alesi 3rd. Michael Schumacher walks home. Michael Andretti right now runs in 11th place.
He made a very nice move just now coming into the Scari chicane. Made a very nice move on one of the back markers, making up a place. He made up a few positions in the last 3 laps, incidentally.
Now with Senna out of the race and Michael Schumacher out, Schumacher is now eliminated from contention. Now Michael Andretti, another pit stop. Second pit stop for Michael Andretti. Rocketing back onto the racetrack, but the field is dropping quickly. We've had tremendous attrition. Jean Alesi comes out now. Riccardo Patrese. Was Patrese diving for the pits there? No, he was not. He is on the track.
He's driving for Alesi.
You're on board with Alain Prost. Only Damon Hill remains in the field to challenge him for the World Championship right now. And you know what will happen when Frank Williams is asked how he wants his drivers to finish. There's Schumacher's car parked against the rail at the back.
Very unfortunate. I really thought he was going to have a very good run today. He looked so good out there. He was been very quietly getting on with the job all weekend. No heroics, nothing. And he looked very promising. But that's motor racing, and I'm sure he's aware of it. He'll be thinking of Estoril now. Not worrying about this one at all.
Alain Prost said yesterday there are no team orders in effect here, but if Damon Hill gets very close, they might want to check with Frank Williams once again. Hill has said his priority is to win the race. He says a driver gets very few chances to win 3 Grands Prix on the trot, as Hill says it. And he will very much be wanting to pass Alain Prost. The question is, will he be allowed to? He doesn't have to stay behind Prost in order for Prost to clinch the World Championship here.
I see. You notice how well Patrese is coming down there. He's really catching up on the back of Alesi, doing a very good job, gradually working his way through the field. But you notice that the Damon is still 18 seconds behind Prost. It's still quite a long way.
Now there is Schumacher making the longest walk in racing back to the pits, probably looking intently for his teammate. As we mentioned in our show from Spa, Belgium, Riccardo Patrese has been told he is a free agent, that the Benetton team will talk to him about next year as you watch Mark Blundell coming in.
He didn't have such a long walk, though. He didn't have far to walk just from the end of the pit road because he pulled into the side. Yeah,
lost that tire coming off the Parabolica just past the pit entrance. There was no possible thought of making it around the racetrack.
I think they'll need new walking shoes after this rather than driving boots. They're all walking back, but there's plenty of ways to get back, lots of lifts.
Let's get down to the pit lane. James Allen.
What was the cause of your retirement?
It was a hard weekend. Yeah, I had a sensor broken on the active suspension. Before everything was okay. My strategy was going through in the race without stop, so I had to reduce a little bit speed to take care about the tires. But it was okay. I kept well my position, so everything went well.
You must be a really tough guy. You've got all the pressure of being a Ferrari driver at Monza. You've got the problem with your elbow as well going on. A lot on your shoulders this weekend.
I'm paid to do my best, so I'm trying to do my best.
Tell us about the elbow, though. Is it going to be okay? You're not going to miss any races later this year?
No, I hope not, but I need now some physical training because medicaments in the last months or the last 3 weeks kill me nearly because it's too much.
Gerhard, thanks for talking to us.
Gerhard is paid to do his job, and well paid. $12 million a year, according to the rumors. Perhaps the best paid driver in Formula One this side of Ayrton Senna.
Yes, I think I'd put up with a bruised arm for a couple of races for 12 million, I must admit.
Absolutely. Alain Prost into the Parabolica, coming around to complete lap 24. Only 4 cars remain on the lead lap. Prost, Hill, Alesi, and Patrese. Wendlinger in 5th is a lap down, as is Pierluigi Martini now in 6th. Then Ukio Katayama, Michele Alboreto, Eric Comas, Pedro Lamy, Luca Badour, Christian Fittipaldi, and Michael Andretti. The last car on that lap, 1 lap down from Alain Prost after that second pit stop. Prost holds the fastest lap of the race, so he is going for a sweep. He wants to win this World Championship with a flourish.
Yeah, there's still an 18-second gap between he and Damon, and I think that's where Prost will like to keep it. He'll just whip in a couple of fast laps, show Damon that he's the master, and then he'll back off it again. Just what you have to do as an older brethren. Get out there, show the young ones. I'm going to show you what to do. Back off a bit, put a bit of pressure on, back off a bit, and hope they might make a weenie mistake. Even if it's your teammate, you want that to happen. With the best will in the world, you want to win, and you'd like him not to be anywhere near you.
There have been more Formula One Grands Prix held here at Monza than any other track in the modern era, dating back to 1950. This is the 43rd World Championship Formula One Grand Prix here at Monza, the 63rd Italian Grand Prix ever held here. Grand Prix racing, of course, going back before the evolution of the World Championship in 1950. Riccardo Patrese in the Benetton pits, quick tire change, and he is back out. Tremendous clutch dust and smoke, blue smoke off the tires as he rockets back onto the track about 130, 40 miles per hour.
It's interesting to see that they're coming quite early to change tires. Everybody was very confident, even talking to the Goodyear mechanics.
Race leader is in, Alain Prost.
They have been very concerned about their tire wear, yet after warm-up this morning, everybody was going, not too sure about the tire wear, not too sure about the tire wear.
You noticed how the Williams, when dropped by the jack, then settled down into racing position. That's the effect of the active suspension.
Yes, in fact, as they come into the chicane, they will lower the nose of the car. The car will actually settle down, get a lot more grip, get a lot of adhesion. As it pulls out, they'll possibly press a button, and then up it'll rise up, and then, of course, they'll get a lot more top speed. It makes quite a considerable amount of top speed, the difference of raising the nose of the car and lowering it. And, of course, a lot more grip when they lower it.
An uneventful pit stop for Alain Prost. This is the hospitality area, press room, and garage here at Monza, and it is a temporary building. We are back live in Italy. You're watching the Grand Prix of Italy on television. Big Jumbotron screens brought in to allow the fans in these ancient grandstands to enjoy the action all the way around the track, and we hope you're enjoying it as well. Bob Varsha, Derek Bell, and James Allen with you. Alain Prost kept the lead following his tire stop. Let's get down to James Allen, who's standing by with one of the many drivers who is out of this race.
Well, that's right, Bob. I mean, normally people come in with retirements, electrical problems, active suspension things, but I've never seen so many people coming in dejected, having had accidents or having gone off. Another one here is Mark Blundell. Mark, a crazy start, but what exactly took you out of the race?
Just understeered off in the Parabolica, on some gravel or some dirt, and went on the grass, and unfortunately the rear wheel just clipped the end of the barrier. Collapsed the rear suspension, I'm out of the race.
What are the conditions like out there today? It looks really hairy.
It's very hot, it's very slippery, we're on very hard tyres, and there's a lot of people making a few mistakes, and as you can see, there's a lot of people dropping out.
Thanks a lot for talking to us. Back to you, Bob.
Tough day for the Ligier team. There is Jean Alesi now coming up on traffic. Alesi running third. He's got the white Minardi of Christian Fittipaldi out in front of him, and ahead of Fittipaldi is Luca Badoer, the reigning International Formula 3000 champion, and they are battling for position, Badoer and Fittipaldi.
Badoer actually is doing a remarkably good job. He had a pretty disappointing practice. Oh, nasty move.
Slides back over on Fittipaldi.
You've got to appreciate that, but this is Badoer's first Grand Prix, and Fittipaldi, not a good place to try and go by. First Italian Grand Prix, I do beg your pardon, everybody. But it's very impressive to see the way he's picking up through the field. These cars are not easy to drive. They take a long time to get used to. If all you're being used to is Formula 3000 and similar cars, Formula One is very difficult indeed.
In fact, our two new boys here, Pedro Lamy and Marco Apicella, said, we didn't think it was going to be this tough. Their necks have been stretched all weekend, and Formula 3000 is one step down from Formula One in the hierarchy of international motor racing. So you'd think that they would be prepared for Formula One, but they say, no, it's much more than we ever expected. Christian Fittipaldi, you don't often see a driver reaching down with his right hand to grab a gear shift anymore in Formula One.
It'd be interesting to see what happens. I spoke with Wilson Fittipaldi, his father, just before the race, and Wilson said that they were going to try and go through the whole race with one set of tyres, the tyres on the car at the current time. So it'd be interesting to see what feedback they've been getting from the other runners in the race as to whether they leave little Christian out there. He's a super young driver, and I wish him all the best in this race, that's for sure.
There is Jean Alesi just ahead of him, Michael Andretti. Michael running ninth, make that eighth in this race now. He passed Pedro Lamy for the second time today. There is the banking in the background leading onto the front stretch. When the USAC IndyCars came back here in 57 and 58 to run what was called the Race of Two Worlds, the Monza 500, the IndyCars lapped this place at 180 miles an hour, and jaws dropped from coast to coast here in Europe.
They used to run a sports car race on the combined circuit, and I'm very relieved to say I was never one of those drivers that had to do it. I'm very happy to keep it on the old flat bit at the moment, I must admit.
You can see those banks in action in the John Frankenheimer movie Grand Prix, starring Yves Montand. Forget James Garner was in that movie, and a couple of real racing drivers.
Yeah.
Phil Hill, who was here this weekend. Graham Hill in it as well. Phil Hill got to utter the immortal line, "Here they come," as I recall in that movie.
I don't remember, Bob. It was a bit before my time.
I gotcha. Jean Alesi, the lone remaining Ferrari in this field, trying to uphold company honor in front of the thousands of tifosi who have gathered here, paying as much as $200 a seat. And as you can see in that background shot, they are all on their feet. No one using those expensive seats today. Now Michael Andretti pulling up behind Eric Comas, and that's for position. Michael going for 7th place. Michael could wind up in the points here.
Very good move. Such a pity he's had to pit twice because he'd be making such a great show by now. And of course, all of the thoughts would be on him from McLaren.
Michael Schumacher, he must be doing laps of this track. He is still walking.
But he's not about to climb over the fence and get a ride on the back of some lunatic's bicycle. So he's walking the whole way back from the Curva Grande, and that is a long way.
Now here's his teammate, Ricardo Patrese, a free agent at the end of the year, which the Benetton team says does not mean Ricardo Patrese will not be with us. We apologize for the breakup on our RTI Italian network onboard cameras, but our Ford Electronics telemetry shows us Ricardo is cooking. A new sponsor in the future for the Benetton team was announced this weekend, the Japan Tobacco Company, coming on board next year with their brand Mild 7. So tobacco retains its influence in Formula One. We understand that deal, about $30 million for 2 years. It is expensive to get involved in Formula One as a sponsor.
But it obviously pays off. They obviously think it's well worthwhile. And motor racing in Japan is so popular that obviously it's worth their while putting their money, particularly into a team like Williams, because they're right on the top of the world at the moment. You can't beat that. You can't beat the best.
Japanese Grand Prix coming up following the Grand Prix of Portugal in 2 weeks' time. I'm sure they've had to conduct another lottery in Japan. They get about 2 million requests each year for the 180,000 or so tickets available. And they start lining up the night before the race in a very orderly fashion for the gates to open on race day. They love their Formula One. They go in and clean out all of the concession stands. You saw Damon Hill's face over Alain Prost's helmet.
Saying that Damon got the fastest lap of the race, which is interesting. So Damon is certainly pressing on.
Michael Andretti rocketing along in 7th place. He is about 9 seconds behind the 6th place car of Pierluigi Martini. This could be Michael's greatest drive yet in Formula One. Stay with us. 32 years ago this weekend, Monza was a day of triumph and tragedy. Wolfgang von Trips crashed in his Ferrari, killing 13 people, and American Phil Hill came through to take the victory and the World Championship.
It was, there was always unexpected drama. I think it was probably the Italian factor thrown into the whole picture that gave it that certain something, you know, and it hasn't changed an awful lot. I think this weekend we might very well see some pretty fiery stuff, too.
Well, we spoke with Phil Hill before the weekend, and you were right on the money, Phil. It has been spectacular. An honored guest this weekend, and a great gentleman, Phil Hill.
You'll notice, actually, that Damon has pulled in 2 seconds on Prost in the last 3 laps, which is interesting to note since he got past this lap. What amazes me that they're lapping in 1 minute 25 when they qualified in 1 minute 21, 1 minute 22. They're running the very same tyres that they used in qualifying. It just shows you how much more they put into the car just to get it to do a fine qualifying time.
You are on board with Christian Fittipaldi briefly. Now here is Michael Andretti. Jean Alesi is just ahead of him, but Alesi must be dropping back. He has not lapped Michael. We're having some trouble with our electronic timing and scoring. We're not able to get lap times on the car. Michael Andretti obviously lapping at tremendous speed since his 2 early pit stops. And I think I need to correct myself. Phil Hill did not win that race back in '61 when he clinched the World Championship, but the world title was his, the first American to do it back in '61. Now there you see the gap from Prost to Alesi in 3rd place, 36.6 seconds. Damon Hill is in between, about 16 seconds behind the race leader.
But of course, you'll notice that Michael is in fact a lap behind because he's had those extra pit stops, so he is trying to get back onto the same lap as Alesi, and that'll be a great move for him. In the foreground, the white car, the yellow helmet, that is Pierluigi Martini. If Michael can catch him, that is 6th place. Michael's made up 4 seconds in 2 laps on Pierluigi Martini, so he's on the way. Now, there is Damon Hill, and there is the shot indicating that he has now taken fast lap of the race at 125.128 seconds.
Alain Prost pole for this race, by the way, did not break Ayrton Senna's all-time track record. He missed it by 2/100ths of a second. And keep in mind that that record was set back in 1991 with fat qualifying tires. Underneath the banking, heading down into the Ascari chicane, Alain Prost out front. We spoke to him before the race to ask him how important it was to him that he clinched this World Championship with a victory.
Oh yes, I would like to, but I must not think too much about the win. I must think about the title. You know, I mean, the psychological side of a racing driver and a racing team is very important. And I have 28 points advantage. I want to win the championship at Monza, but if I win it at Portugal, it's not a big problem. The important thing is to win it. So if you want to go for the win, absolutely for the win, just to show the people that you want to win, but then you lose the rest, and then instead of 28 points, you may have 18 points, and 3 races to go. Then start the pressure, the extra pressure. So you must be very careful about it.
Alain Prost, the professor, who says he doesn't like to be called that, by the way. He says that was just dreamt up by somebody years ago. Nevertheless, his approach to racing, his perfection of the car in its setup, his meticulous planning of every race, probably the most intensive approach to Grand Prix racing.
Yes, he has a wonderful approach to it. He's so professional, so single-minded, and so calm about it, and that's what you have to be. World champions are made of that. You can't be an absolute lunatic and win the world championship. You've got to be calm, cool, and collected, and that's exactly what Alain Prost is. Very, very perfect driver, ultimate driver.
One of the all-time greats, Alain Prost, going for that 4th World Championship. Only one man has won at least 4. That, of course, the maestro, as Sterling Moss calls him, Juan Manuel Fangio of Argentina, with 5. Fangio clinched his 1956 title right here at Monza. Alain Prost may get his 4th today. We apologize for the breakup of our onboard cameras. This is such a fast racetrack and such a long one, the helicopters have to try to intercept the cars because they can't keep up with them in order to receive the feeds, the transmissions from our onboard cameras. Thus, we have a lot of breakup here today. Right now, Alain Prost has 14 seconds in hand, so Damon Hill appears to be closing in just a little bit, but we are well past halfway. Alain Prost may just be hitting the cruise control. We'll see when we return to Italy. We are back live at Monza in Italy, underneath the banking and into the Ascari chicane, riding with Christian Fittipaldi of Brazil, who has been battling all day long with the car just ahead, his fellow Formula 3000 champion, Luca Badoer. Now, we haven't seen the Lola Ferraris hardly at all this year. The team has announced that they will split with Lola next year. The Scuderia will merge with Minardi, and those are the 2 teams you see battling right there, Badoer and Fittipaldi, the Lola and the Minardi.
Isn't it refreshing? Isn't it refreshing to see somebody shifting gears? It's really unusual. You're watching with the in-car camera. You're just pressing a button.
That is for position. That is for 10th place. Meanwhile, there is Alain Prost, the race leader. Damon Hill is a steady 14 seconds behind. Now our Italian hosts switch back to that battle between the Italian Badoer and the Brazilian Fittipaldi. Recall that earlier this year, former Indianapolis car driver Fabrizio Barbaza scored points for that Minardi team. As you take a look there at Prost going around Riccardo Patrese, putting him a lap down. So now only the top 3 cars of Prost, Hill, and Alesi are on the lead lap. Let's get down to the pit lane where James Allen is standing by with former Grand Prix driver Fabrizio Barbaza. James?
Yeah, that's right, Bob. Of course, Fabrizio Barbaza backed out of Formula 1 racing at the French Grand Prix Magny-Cours for financial reasons, but he's looking at putting a very interesting project together in America, aren't you, Fabrizio?
Yes. Me and Minardi, we are looking to find a good team and bring a lot of technology from Formula 1, and I hope to find a seat in America.
What would be the big advantage then of bringing Minardi Formula 1 technology to America?
Wind tunnel testing and good telemetry. It can be a good help to improve any team over there.
Well, an interesting IndyCar prospect there. Thanks for talking to us, Fabrizio. Take care.
That is interesting news. Minardi going to IndyCar racing, not necessarily to found a team, but to offer technology to IndyCar teams.
I bet young Christian here would like to get by Badoer. He's really holding him up. I think if he got by, he'd actually pull away from him, but he just hasn't got that grunt when it comes to it. He's slipstreaming or drafting him now, and it just needs a bit of a longer straight, and I think you'd take him, but of course under braking he can't quite do it. And on the other straightaway down into the Parabolica, Badoev just blocks him off all the way. There's no chance for him. He's going to have to do a bit of jinxing, but he's probably right now reasonably happy about it. He just wants to take his time. He's still a young lad and he's learning a lot. He's learning a heck of a lot right at the moment. Good battle though, very interesting to watch.
Ford V8 against the Ferrari V12. The Scuderia up ahead there for Luca Badoer will also lose its engines next year. Ferrari says they will supply no teams in 1994. There's Jean Alesi, head cranked over in his typical driving style as he enters the Parabolica. He runs in third place. Earlier I mentioned that Alain Prost's pole time did not break Ayrton Senna's all-time lap record here at Monza. However, fast lap of the race just reset by Damon Hill at 124.3 is almost 2 full seconds under last year's fast lap set by Nigel Mansell in the Williams.
It's interesting to note that Damon has now pulled up to 9.7 seconds behind Prost, having been 18 at the tyre change. So he's really making his way through the field. Prost, I imagine, is trying to conserve tyres. They were very concerned, as we mentioned earlier, on their tyre wear, and I think right now Prost is just playing it cool, and then he'll have the tyres save them towards the end if he has to charge it. He knows what he's doing, I think.
Michael Andretti fans, note this. He has broken into the points. Michael has gotten around Pierluigi Martini. We were not offered pictures of that by our Italian hosts, but Michael, after 2 early stops and that dramatic moment at La Carambolage in the first chicane, Michael is now up into 6th place, and he is closing on the man in the foreground there, Carl Wendlinger. In fact, Michael just came into the back of that picture.
Yes, he's pulled up a lot. He pulled up about 5 seconds in just a few laps.
Patrese back for the 2nd time in the pits. The Benetton team goes to work. Oh, great pit stop. That could have been under 5 seconds if he'd gotten the clutch dropped earlier. You notice all of those folks in the pit lane. Very dangerous pit situation here in Formula One. Next year will be refueling, and the new rules for 1994 allow only 10 mechanics to work on the car during a stop. So hopefully we'll clear some of those people out of the pit lane, and the result will be a safer situation. You ride with Riccardo Patrese. He is now in 4th place in the race and a lap down to race leader Alain Prost, who may be about to become a 4-time world champion. We are back where the Tifosi are pressed along the fence here at the Autodromo di Monza. Got the Ferrari umbrella out there. A perfect day for watching racing and a perfect racetrack to do it. In Monza, there is Damon Hill, who continues to close in on race leader Alain Prost. Hill must win in order to keep his title hopes alive. Michael Schumacher in the Benetton has dropped out, and he is out of contention for the World Championship mathematically. Damon Hill must win to keep his hopes alive. 2nd place man Ayrton Senna is out as well, but it's all irrelevant. If Prost wins, the title is his. Christian Fittipaldi continuing his personal battle with Luca Badoer in the Lola Ferrari. That is still for 10th place. Just ahead of them, Pedro Lamy of Portugal having a spectacular race.
Hill, of course, is now 7 seconds behind Prost, having just done a lap of 1:23.8, which is a very, very quick lap time. I mean, was it 3 seconds under last year's lap record? Something like that. Outstanding at this stage of the race. So the tyres must be getting a little bit worn now, or certainly losing a bit of their traction. This is what they're worried about. It wasn't the wear so much, but the fact they were going to lose a lot of their grip.
Damon Hill knows all about what can happen if you lose a tire on the racetrack. He was in position to win the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim earlier this year when the rear tire went down on him and he lost all shot at the victory.
He lost a bit of time through there following those 2 young lads having a real battle. I just hope they know he's there.
Prost going out of your picture. Now here he comes. Looks like Christian will stay. Well, I thought he would stay behind.
Oh, dear. Not a nice feeling just being edged out, knowing it's 3 abreast of the Parabolica. It's pretty tight getting into the corner, but there's plenty of room coming out.
I think maybe Christian was looking for that toe behind Damon Hill to try to get around Luca Badoer. Now he'll go to the inside of Badoer for 10th place. They are side by side.
The gap is 4.6 between Prost and Hill. Gap of 4.6.
Oh, once more
really capping up.
Frustration for Fittipaldi as Badoer takes the inside line. Now there's Michael Andretti just behind Riccardo Patrese. Patrese runs 4th. Carl Wendlinger has gotten around Patrese, so the black car with the white wings is now 4th. Patrese is 5th, and Michael Andretti is 6th. 4th, 5th, and 6th running nose to tail. Michael goes to the inside of Patrese for 5th place.
And they're not that far behind Alesi at this point. They're very close to a Lacey up there.
Wendlinger begins to draw away just a little bit. We'll see if Michael can close it down. The Sauber is using new Ilmor-built V10 engines this weekend, and they seem to be working quite well for them. Patrese, no, he's too far behind Michael to get him into this chicane.
They put a Series 8 engine in for Michael between warm-up and the race, so he's got a comparable engine with the Benetton Fords at this time, I believe. But the reason he lost a bit coming out of the parabolic was, of course, he had to brake down on the inside of Patrese to get the pass, which meant that he couldn't get on the power quite so soon. But he's right there behind the Sauber right now.
Now it's time for our Suzuki motorcycle mid-race recap. The race leader, Alain Prost, as he has been, perhaps his best getaway of the Formula One season when he needed it most. He's out front of the race he wants to win to clinch his title. Cars out of the race, well, certainly more than are still in it. Of the 26 cars that started, we have 13 still running, so we've split them right down the middle. Michael Andretti now closes up on Carl Wendlinger, hoping to move up in the points. Right now, he runs 5th. Ahead of him, his 4th, and then it's a long gap up to the 3rd place car of Jean Alesi right now. Once again, we apologize for the breakup of the onboard cameras. Michael closing up onto Wendlinger's gearbox. Recall all the problems and contact they had earlier this year.
Good move. Brilliant, brilliant move. Brilliant move.
Michael's in 4th. Wendlinger will counterattack.
Brilliant move. He just came down the inside. He got a little bit sideways as he went past him, which actually moved Wendlinger out wide a bit, because Wendlinger said, boy, I don't want to get tangled up in this lot. So he probably backed off a bit, which was Michael's saving grace there. But he did it, and it was a wonderful move. We saw him do that in IndyCar a lot last year.
That was a Michael Andretti kind of move. Let's take another look at that pass now on the entrance to the Parabolica.
You've got to realize he's doing 205 miles an hour coming into that corner, and he's now doing 130 when he gets his tail out of shape.
Just enough brake. A little bit of blue smoke off the tires as it locked up, but he got right back off of it again. How ironic that on the weekend where the rumors about Michael Andretti leaving the McLaren team have reached fever pitch, he is turning in a drive like this. From 20th place in the field, he is now up to 4th. Stay with us. Weekends are not all work and no play. Here's Michael Schumacher, the star of a driver team that took on the Formula One photographers. Damon, this is soccer. Football, we call it. Well, never mind. Actually, there were a couple of drivers playing for the photographers, including this man, Fabrizio Barbaza, with a true World Cup-style save. Now, here's Andre de Cesaris going around and around Richard Howell, a former journalist who will never make it as a soccer player. Rubens Barrichello getting the assist on the goal. And here's something Michael Schumacher knows a great deal about, spraying champagne. Now you're on board with Damon Hill. Just ahead is Alain Prost, and now the question of team orders comes up. 6 laps remaining as they approach slower traffic. Hill must beat Prost in order to have any mathematical shot at the World Championship. It would be a very slim hope, but it would be a mathematical shot. Alain Prost says he wants to take his title with a victory, so at this point, the guess is that they're going to be allowed to race for it, but
I don't
who can say?
I don't agree. I think Frank is about to say, look, lads, this is the way I want it. You know, I want this World Championship secure for Alain. He's got major sponsors, French sponsors, that want to see Alain Prost World Champion. They don't want it hanging about. And it's strange to know that also on this last couple of laps that Alain has in fact pulled away a couple of 100 yards on Damon at that point. But of course, we've got traffic coming ahead, and that's going to make it difficult for him.
Let's get down to James Allen in the pits for more on this Williams situation. James?
Well, Derek, I think you may just be right. Just a few seconds ago, they held out a pit board. The Williams crew held out a pit board to Prost saying, OK. Meanwhile, just the other end of the gantry, they held out a board for Damon Hill saying temp, meaning temperature, watch your temperatures, and slow. So could that mean, OK, Prost, slow down, Damon?
All right, Bill, now you have to understand, look at your contract. You are not supposed to make the host look silly. I'm supposed to be the right one all the time.
Oh, you're always right whenever I watch you, Bob, but I know today I'm right, or I was right before. It's got to be done, you know, it's too big a race. Italy is the biggest race, really, in Europe outside of Monaco, and I do think that they want Prost to seal his World Championship here. And he's done such an immaculate job all weekend. And I think he knew all the time that this would happen. That's why he hasn't been actually scorching it. He wants to look after his car. He needs those points. He wants to finish in front.
Prost has lost the engine. Prost's Renault has gone away in a cloud of smoke.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
The Renault engines never go away, and now we've seen 2 this year. Not only does that put Damon Hill into the race lead and push the World Championship to Portugal in 2 weeks' time, it also moves Michael Andretti up to 3rd place on the podium in Italy.
But it's not over yet. But I would like to say, no doubt, that was the sign that was hung out was saying, take it easy, because they could read on the telemetry, of course, that Prost had a problem. He's trying to make it back and put oil down to improve everybody's line. Nasty business. He must be really, really disappointed when he thought he had it in the bag. There's so few laps to go.
Fittipaldi gave him some kind of a wave there, it looked like, as if to say thanks for going around and laying all this down on the track. I'm not sure exactly why Alain Prost wants to get it around unless he thinks it can be fixed. They cannot put oil into it. We'll have to take a quick time out and see what happens. Perhaps we can get back before Alain Prost comes to a stop right there in the Williams pit. What a dramatic development here in Italy. Stay with us for more exclusive live coverage. Back live in Italy, concerned faces in the Williams-Renault pits with 3 races remaining in the 43rd running of the Grand Prix of Italy. Right now, if the race were to end, Alain Prost would have 81 points toward the World Championship, Damon Hill 58, with a maximum of 30 points still available with races. There you see Alain Prost. We have Portugal, Japan, and Australia still to come. All of a sudden, this is looking like a very interesting championship. Now you're on board with Michael Andretti, who runs in 3rd place in the race.
Yes, he's around about half a lap behind Alesi at this time, and there's no way he's going to catch him up, barring any problems for Alesi. The Italian crowd, of course, are going absolutely berserk because they sense the fact that maybe even Hill's car is going to quit, and therefore we get a Ferrari victory. Seeing Michael here, it's wonderful for him. He must be very buzzed up about this. It's his greatest race of the year. It's so sad that he had those problems at the beginning with really, I would say, 2 extra pit stops over everybody else. Remarkable drive when you consider he's not that very far behind in literal seconds. Doing a wonderful job.
There is the gap. The 27 car is Alesi. The 7 at the bottom is Michael. The gap was 41 seconds behind the leader for Alesi and 1:35 for Michael. So the difference between them is where Michael is. Now, wait a minute. Now Alesi is suddenly... Could Alesi be slowing down? He doesn't appear to be, and yet there is Michael Andretti coming after him for 2nd place in the Italian Grand Prix. This is incredible. 2 laps remain. Slower traffic. Andre De Cesaris in the Tyrrell just ahead.
Unbelievable. Quite staggering. I mean, a minute just now we said he was half a lap behind, and suddenly he's up behind, and the Ferrari must have a problem. He'd be slowing down like that, yet he looks like he's going through the corners quickly. I can't understand it.
That's De Cesaris ahead of race leader Damon Hill. Keep in mind, James Allen reported, there's Pedro Lamy, the 21-year-old from Portugal, in his 1st and perhaps only Grand Prix. It's a 1-race deal for him.
Yeah. Running in 9th place. That was very sad for him. He deserved better than that considering the weekend he's had.
Excuse me, a 2-race deal. He will also race in his home Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time, but he is now out of the race and he has driven very well. But recall, once again, James Allen said the Williams team told Damon Hill to watch his temperatures, and then Alain Prost Renault engine let go. So, the plot twists just keep on coming.
Yeah, Damon's dropped 4 seconds away from the time he was doing earlier, doing the same time as Alesi on his last lap. And Michael is about 2 seconds a lap quicker than Alesi at this time.
1 lap to go this time around, but the man we're concerned with is back there in 3rd, battling for 2nd, Michael Andretti. James Allen, what can you tell us?
Well, just look at that picture, Bob. Steve Hallen's got a huge smile on his face. That's Michael Andretti's race engineer. At the other end of the pit wall, the McLaren pit wall, is Ron Dennis, impassive as ever. Never shows any emotion on his face, but he must be asking himself a lot of questions now about Michael Andretti. He's driven brilliantly today. A huge smile on the face of Steve Hallen, and the whole... Amidst all the rumours that Michael Andretti might lose his drive to Mika Hakkinen and everything like this, there is a genuine feeling of happiness amongst these McLaren mechanics. Meanwhile, at the other side, the Renault faces, they can't quite believe what's going on. The championship will roll on.
And rightly so. Keep in mind, Ayrton Senna, by all odds, the greatest Grand Prix driver of all time, with all due respect to Alain Prost, has had 2 accidents today. He collided with Damon Hill at the 1st corner, then he collided with Martin Brundle. I'm not saying that those were Senna's fault, but while Senna was getting knocked out of this race, Michael Andretti dropped back to 20th to get a new set of tires, and then has rocketed through this field. He runs in 3rd place right now.
Damon Hill just praying and hoping that he's going to be able to keep this car going for the last few hundred yards to the finish. He's got a fair old lead here. He's got 40 seconds, if I'm right in saying, over the next guy, and he's well on his way to getting his third victory virtually in a row.
And what a position that is going to put Frank Williams into. Williams said he wanted Senna for his team, but now Damon Hill, after waiting 13 races to win his first Grand Prix, is about to win his third in a row.
At the Italian Grand Prix, that is something very special for a young driver in his first full year of Grand Prix. Absolutely wonderful. He must be over the moon. I hope his mother's watching.
And I hope we'll go back shortly. Here is Michael. Is that the Ferrari just ahead? This is for second place.
They're having a real go. They're having a real go. It's so close. Oh, Christian Fittipaldi.
Christian Fittipaldi took one of the wheels off of his corner. That is at the corner just before the finish line.
They're coming through.
They're about to approach it. Approaching that corner, the yellow flag is out. This is Alesi. Here comes Andretti.
And the sprint for the line, and Alesi's just about made it.
Debris on the racetrack everywhere. Second place for Alesi. Third place for Michael Andresi. There is Fittipaldi's car in the foreground. James Allen, what happened?
Absolutely unbelievable, Bob. I've just been over to talk to Steve Hallam to say you must be a very happy man. He nodded and said, yes, I am. Hopefully we'll grab a word from him in a second. Walking back across the pit lane, and the Minardi came along, and it just suddenly took off. You remember Patrese accident where he collided with Berger in Portugal last year? Absolutely astonishing accident, took off into the air, and my heart was in my mouth because I thought he was going to come into the pit lane. Extraordinary scenes, Bob. Absolutely unbelievable accident, and we're all very lucky, I think.
All right, thank you, James. As you can see, the corner marshals are out onto the racetrack waving their flags in salute, the traditional style. A thumbs up from Andretti to Alesi. Let's see if we can take another look now at that incredible accident suffered by Christian Fittipaldi that James was just talking about. He comes out behind his teammate Pierluigi Martini, and does a complete flip.
Look at the strength of that car. You can't believe it. The kid gets out unhurt, it seemed. Amazing incident. Why was he so close? I think what happened is, in fact, the car in front, he actually backed off the gas pedal as the guy was slipstreaming through the corner.
They were battling for position. Fittipaldi attacking Martini for 7th place with a lap to go. What a day for Ferrari. Jean Alesi, French by birth, but his father is Sicilian and a rally driver, and so the Italians claim him as one of their own. Keep in mind, Michael Andretti is American-born, but Father Mario is Italian, and they can just as well claim Michael as well. And you can bet they will. And now the traditional Monza madness breaks out in the pit lane. I hope they can get all these cars to Parc Fermé. You see the crewmen dashing for the garages.
That is wonderful for Ferrari, because Alesi actually has had an outstanding weekend. He's driven brilliantly. The qualifying laps, as I said, were the most brilliant I've ever seen in qualifying, certainly on TV. Outstanding drive, and here he goes through to 2nd place. Sorry, basically, for Michael, because it was he deserved. He would have probably got a very fine 2nd place. He could have even had a win the way he was driving there.
My, how will someone summarize the action here today? They'll be hard at it in the press room. Some 1,600 accredited media here for the Italian Grand Prix. We'll be right back to give it a shot. We are back. Those garages, that is down in Parc Fermé. The doors come down as they attempt to save the cars and the drivers. Michael Andretti, though he was a lap down to the top 2 cars, gave Jean Alesi a run, and he will have his first Formula One podium here today. Now they're opening the door. I believe the Ferrari of Jean Alesi still hasn't gotten there yet. There's the crowd gathering around the podium. Let's get down to James Allen. I don't envy you down there, James.
Unbelievable. I've got a little bit of Italian blood in me, but this is an extraordinary feeling down here. So many people rushing down, all the Ferrari fans. You saw a second ago, Jean Alesi's car completely mobbed with people. They're all making their way down for the podium celebrations. Just grabbed a quick word with Steve Hallam. He said it was absolutely unbelievable feeling. Michael was on it all weekend. He really knew he was going to get a result here. Mi piace molto italiani.
Ah, yes. A postcard for everyone. Well, they are in the old country, so they can't go back to America, but there you are. Gathering underneath the podium that has seen so many great champions. I recall seeing pictures of Mario Andretti being up on that podium to accept the laurels here at Monza, and now son Michael will get up there. To look at our unofficial results, Damon Hill by 40 seconds over Jean Alesi, then Michael Andretti in 3rd, followed by Carl Wendlinger 4th, Ricardo Patrese 5th, and Eric Comas 6th. Then Pierluigi Martini, Christian Fittipaldi after that, an astonishing crash. I think he may have crossed the finish line in midair. Behind him, Philippe Ayot, Luca Badoer, Pedro Lamy, who dropped out late. Alain Prost will be classified, although he dropped out with 5 laps to go. Andre De Cesaris and Ukio Katayama. Fast lap on the race went to Damon Hill, 1:23.5 seconds, 3 seconds and change under the old lap record. That's what it's like here at Monza. Look at that Ferrari emblem in the middle of that crowd. Astonishing. Stay with us. Yes, just your average, ordinary Italian Grand Prix. A tremendous crash at the first corner, brilliant performances in midfield, and ending with an absolutely spectacular crash at the center of your screen. Damon Hill with his 3rd straight Grand Prix win. To the left, Jean Alesi with his Ferrari flag in hand, and to the right, Michael Andretti shaking his head, perhaps wondering, Derek, what might have been if he had gotten through that first corner cleanly.
Yeah, we know it all. If only those problems hadn't happened at the beginning, he would have been right there. He could only be 2 places higher, but boy, would he have liked it. He must be so happy with where he is today, in that position in 3rd place.
Listen to this crowd. Let's get down to James Allen.
Absolutely unbelievable scenes down here, Bob. We're back in the middle of it all. Absolutely unbelievable scenes. We're down here in the middle of it all, as you can hear. We've got a few audio problems, but the crowd here is singing. Alesi just got his cup. And right up there, America's hero, Michael Andretti, has just picked up his trophy. A very, very happy man. And the Stars and Stripes is flying above the podium of a Grand Prix once again. Just look at him. A very happy man.
That's right, the first time the U.S. flag has waved over a podium since Eddie Cheever in Phoenix a few years ago. Eddie is at Mid-Ohio today for the IndyCars, a race you'll be seeing here on ESPN. This is the new generation of Grand Prix racing, ladies and gentlemen. Hill, Alesi, and Michael Andretti taking his rightful place. What a moment for America in Grand Prix racing. What a weekend here in Italy. Absolutely spectacular stuff. Now the racers will be herded off to the interview room to meet some 1,600 media on hand this weekend. Look at that sea of people all here to cheer their heroes. Another historic day, the 43rd running of the FIA Formula One World Championship here at Magic and Awesome Monza. We'll be back with final thoughts when we return in just a moment. This ESPN Speed World presentation has been brought to you by Volvo. Volvo would like you to drive safely. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you, friends know when to say when. What an absolutely amazing day here at Monza. The American flag down there in the crowd. Here's a look at our final results once again. Damon Hill, his 3rd straight victory, keeping title hopes alive over Jean Alesi and Michael Andretti, his first podium. Carl Wendlinger, Riccardo Patrese, and Eric Comas follow. Then Pierluigi Martini, Christian Fittipaldi after that incredible crash, Philippe Ayot, Luca Badoer, and there you see the rest of the finishers. Derek Bell, I want to thank you for being with us. Your final thoughts?
Well, I thought the start with the race was certainly amazing dramas at the start. I thought there'd be no cars left in the race, but it was an outrageous race that quieted off for a while. Then we saw Senna's accident, and boy, towards the end, the excitement of seeing Michael come through.
Here's a look at the points as the battle heats up. Alain Prost with 81. Damon Hill now in 2nd place with 58 over Ayrton Senna, followed by Michael Schumacher and Riccardo Patrese. In the Constructors' Championship, Williams has already clinched the title. Benetton ahead of McLaren in a terrific battle for 2nd place. Let's get down to James Allen for one final report.
Well, it speaks for itself, Bob. Jean Alesi has done it for Ferrari. Michael Andretti has done it. Andretti has done it for America. And I just hope that he gets a second chance now from Ron Dennis. What a great day we've all had. I've really enjoyed it.
All right, James, we agree as well. Our thanks to the Monza Boy Choir down there. Don't forget, you have checkered flag coverage of this incredible race coming your way, including this astonishing accident by Christian Fittipaldi. Checkered flag, the Grand Prix of Italy, comes your way Thursday, September 16th at midnight Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Pacific. And then it's on to Portugal, to Estoril for the Grand Prix of Portugal, and the title fight continues. Now it is down to Alain Prost and teammate Damon Hill, and it should be great fun. The Grand Prix of Portugal, Sunday, September 26th, tape delayed, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, here on ESPN. I'm Bob Barsha for Derek Bell and for James Allen. We are all wrung out, but there is a party to go to, as there always is, at Monza. The 43rd running of the Grand Prix of Italy is now complete, and what a race it has been. We hope you'll join us on Checkered Flag for highlights of this race. It's only a half-hour show, and we're going to need every minute of it. And then for the Grand Prix of Portugal at Estoril. Thanks for being with us. We look forward to taking you to the end of the season here on the World Championship. So long for now from Monza.